Hello and welcome to a brand new series. Here it is, Alternative Apex Project Pinnacle. What would happen if I was given the reins of Formula 1? We'd have smaller cars, we'd have louder engines, we would have 11 teams with room for even more. Using Gran Turismo 7 as our canvas, we will be going all around the world in a 12-race season, making our very own version of the 2026 Formula 1 season. We'll be starting off with the real 2026 teams and driver lineups, but beyond this season, and potentially stuff that could happen in season, anything is possible. We'll be adjusting the format ever so slightly, with a maximum grid size of 19 cars for Sunday's Grand Prix. We shall have one lap qualifying on Friday, before two sprint races set the starting grid for the Grand Prix on Saturday. We will also be having a tyre war, with Michelin and Goodyear tyres going at it against each other once again in this great sport. Hopefully that shall just add to the drama out on track. Using Gran Turismo 7, we will be able to visit some venues that haven't seen Formula 1 in a while, and some that have never seen it in their past. Some legendary venues will be on the calendar, and I cannot wait to see what these Formula 1 cars will look like racing around them. But before we get to any racing, let me introduce you all to the 11 teams and 22 drivers that shall be competing in this 2026 season and how they'll all be looking. McLaren enter a season as the reigning drivers and constructors champions for the first time since 1999. The Mercedes engine in the back looks like the best to have, but naturally they lack some of the advantages that the Works team will have with it. Lando Norris seems to have a chance at defending his title, albeit with a seemingly lesser car than he had in 2025. Whilst Piastri has a point to prove this year, can he bounce back from his late 2025 slump, or will he fall into a spiral that finds him stuck as Lando's wingman? McLaren have opted for the Michelin tyres for this year, seeing them as a safer bet given their focus on reliability going into a questionable era of Formula 1 where reliability could prove to be a defining factor. The team the bookies have got pegged to the number one spot is Mercedes. The German team never truly understood the ground effect era, but will these new regulations offer them a fresh start, or is there a more fundamental issue within the team? George Russell couldn't stop smiling throughout testing, as that might give you an idea of where he thinks the team is for 2026, and many people in and around F1 feel Russell is ready for that first title challenge. A very interesting man to watch in 2026 is Kimi Antonelli. The young and Italian driver showed flashes of incredible speed last year, however had some rough patches too. In theory, with more experience, we should see more of the speed, assuming that the pressure of driving for a big team doesn't weigh too heavy on him, especially if they are indeed in a title fight. Mercedes have also opted to go with the Michelin tyre, having worked with the company in the World Endurance Championship recently in the GT3 class. This could be a pivotal year for the team that won 4 out of the last 5 Drivers' Championships. For the first time in their history, they are building their own engine with some help from Ford. In testing, they didn't look to be setting any records, but they did seem to keep a steady pace. The championship looks like it's going to be out of reach, but they'll still be hoping for race victories at the very least. Depending on how this year goes, this year could be the final year of the Max Verstappen-Red Bull partnership, one of the most successful in the sport's history. Max hasn't said too much about his future, but it is understood that he is likely to be shopping around for 2027 regarding the fact that he has a break clause in his contract with Red Bull if he isn't in the top 2 of the Drivers' Championship come the summer break. Isaac Hadjar is the next in line to the impossible job that is being Max Verstappen's teammate. Some see him as the most prepared yet, whilst others see no real difference to the previous 5 who fell. Perhaps the job of keeping this seat will be slightly easier if Verstappen does go elsewhere for 2027 though, leaving a vacancy at the Red Bull team needing to be filled, and in theory they would want some stability in that occasion. With an American engine comes American tyres from Goodyear. The tyres looked quick in testing, although they do seem to be a bit quicker to wear compared to the Michelin tyres. With one of the best lineups in F1 history, there is nowhere to hide for Ferrari this year. A 7-time champion in Lewis Hamilton and a driver that many see as one of the few who could compete with the prime Max Verstappen that we've seen recently in Charles Leclerc. Sadly for them, the car didn't seem to quite get the memo, as it appears to be lacking both the grip and power of its Mercedes-powered rivals. Leclerc has made it clear that this season is make or break for him at Ferrari, and we really can't blame him. This is his 8th season with the team, and they're yet to give him a serious chance at a title, the best coming in 2022 when the car fell off a cliff in terms of development compared to their rivals Red Bull. The question surrounds where Leclerc would go if he doesn't stay with the Scuderia. This could be the final year for the statistical GOAT of Formula 1. Hamilton hasn't fared any better than many other legends that moved to Ferrari later in their career. Maybe the car can surprise us and give him what he needs to stick around. We'll just have to wait and see, because going into the season, it's not looking particularly good. Just like in the 90s, Ferrari will have Goodyear tyres on them, hoping the results are better than the latter seasons of the previous partnership with the tyre manufacturer. After putting all their focus into 2026 earlier than many other teams, there is a lot of people who think Williams might just be a regular contender for podiums in 2026. Over his 4 years with the team, Alexander Albon has seen lows with Williams, and now it seems he's going to get the chance to see some highs, with this car looking decent in one-lap pace over testing so far. The Spaniard Carlos Sainz enters his second season with Williams after an impressive first year where he did manage to get a couple of podiums. He'll be looking to visit the podium even more times though in 2026. Williams opted to go for Goodyear tyres to try and find an advantage over their fellow Mercedes-powered teams who are all going with the Michelin tyres. There's a new title sponsor on the racing balls for the 2026 season, and Red Bull have stepped in to help rebuild KTM following their financial issues over the last year or so. Liam Lawson was fortunate to stay within the Red Bull family following his disastrous start to the 2025 season. This will be his first full year where he, in theory, drives for the same team throughout. The only rookie on the grid for this season is Arvid Lindblad. He's very highly rated by Red Bull despite his rollercoaster of an F2 season last year. With questions around Verstappen's future, this duo may well be dueling it out for that Red Bull seat in 2027. Racing Bulls have copied their senior team by also going with Goodyear tyres for this season. One team with huge hype surrounding it entering the 2026 season is Aston Martin. With Adrian Newey leading the team and Fernando Alonso behind the wheel, many see this as a super team. However, they do have some weaknesses, one of which is Honda's engine development. Just like in the previous regulations, they have started later than any other manufacturer, having originally planned to be pulling out of the sport before this regulation era began. The other weakness is the owner's son, Lance Stroll. With a seat basically locked in for as long as he wants, he could hold back their Constructors' Championship potential. Although Stroll is certainly not a terrible driver, he isn't seen as one that could be a real championship threat. This could be the final season for one of Formula 1's best in Fernando Alonso. Aged 44 entering the season, it would only make sense if this was his final year of racing, but nothing is confirmed yet, and we know Alonso does like to surprise us and often is age-defying in many ways. Aston Martin have chosen Michelin tyres for their car, with experience working with the brand in the World Endurance Championship with their hypercar Valkyrie program. Toyota have continued to develop their relationship with the Haas team entering 2026, as they become the title sponsor of the American team. Esteban Ocon seems happy with the team in testing. The car looked to be consistent overall. With Behrman tipped for a future at Ferrari, Ocon should be safe to stay at the team, but it's obviously better for both parties if he's able to perform at his best. The aforementioned young Ferrari Junior Behrman is seen by many as a future Ferrari driver. This season could prove crucial to that becoming a reality, so there's quite some pressure on his shoulders. Being an American team, Haas have understandably gone with the American tyre supplier Goodyear. The first of the two new manufacturers coming in to this season is Audi. The German manufacturer is one of the few big car brands that has never previously been in Formula 1. Having bought Sauber rather than start from scratch, they do have a bit of a head start over their fellow new rival, although their engine is likely to be a weakness as they are starting from scratch in that area. Being a German team, it makes sense that their lead driver is German too. Nico Hülkenberg has been in and out of the sport since 2010, so he's got some knowledge that will be very useful for the team. However, his age could mean that his time with the team may well be short-lived. The young star of the team is Gabriel Bortoleto. A Formula 2 champion who was impressively competitive in his rookie F1 season should pair well with a new manufacturer. Provided that he puts in some more good performances, he should have a long future with the team. Audi, like Aston Martin, have gone with Michelin tyres following their history together in endurance racing. A confusing team entering 2026 is Alpine. They have a solid driver lineup and the presumed best engine on the grid, yet many don't see the team as a serious contender. A works team ditching their own engine is hardly a sign of a team that is thriving, and that's exactly what they've done going into this year, dropping the Renault engine. Pierre Gasly seems committed to the team as their lead driver. Whether or not their performance, or their lack of, will change that feeling is yet to be known. The young Argentinian Colapinto has had a tumultuous time in F1 so far. He comes into this year needing to find some consistency. His future in the sport likely relies on it. Being a French team, they've paired up with the French tyre manufacturer Michelin. The one wholly new team coming into 2026 is Cadillac. Making their life slightly easier is the fact that they will be using Ferrari engines for their first few seasons. Testing for them was reasonable, although not show-stopping. Their two drivers Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas are both signed through 2027, and they have a similar history in the sport. Both were teammates to some of the most successful drivers before eventually being left without a seat for 2025. They have experience with the best teams, which should help get Caddy up to speed quicker than they otherwise would do. The downside is they're both on the older side of the age spectrum, so Cadillac is missing out on having a young star in the car for now. Again, we see team nationality impacting the tyre choice as they have partnered up with Goodyear. Well, now you've met the team's drivers and you know some of the rules heading into this season, I do hope you are all as excited as I am. Join us in a week's time for the first ever event in Alternative Apex Project Pinnacle 2026.